Have you been hearing that you should wait for a recession to buy a home? Do you want to know if that's true? What about the house prices in a recession and mortgage rates during a recession? You want to know about that? Well, Leigh from Guaranteed Rate and I sit down and chat about it.
Hi everyone, hey, it's Leigh, Vice President of Mortgage Lending at Guaranteed Rate, and I'm joined today by Charlotte Jean. She's a real estate agent at Birch & Cedar Realty. So we are excited to bring you the very first, the inaugural ride here of our new, we're not gonna really call it a podcast, Charlotte, I'm not sure what we're gonna call it, but our video market update, and we're calling it Let's Get Real About Real Estate. So we are excited to bring this to you here. Charlotte, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. So
yeah, no, Charlotte and I were talking about this idea here, and we've been kicking it around for a little while here, but the first show today that we're going to talk about here, we're going to talk to you about the disconnect that we're seeing between the economy and the housing market. So a lot of interesting conversations that she and I are having with our clients all the time is kind of where our motivation and drive to do this for you is coming from. But before we get into that, we are going to start with some brief introductions. So you know who's talking to you here. So I'll go ahead and lead off, Charlotte, if that's okay on introductions.
Yes, great. Thank you.
Great. Well, again, my name is Leigh, and I'm a mortgage lender at Guaranteed Rate in Meridian, Idaho. I've been a mortgage lender for 15 years now. I've only been with my company now for a little bit over a year, but in my 15-year career as a mortgage lender, I've been with a mortgage broker, I've been with 2 community banks, and now most recently here with a national retail mortgage loan company. So I've seen it all on all of the different platforms. I've really settled on this company here because it gives me the best platform, not only from a nationwide approach and the programs that come from a company our size, but just the team and the structure that they give me to best support and help my clients when I originate for them. Outside of that, I'm also a husband. I'm a father of 4, including twins in the middle there. I'm an avid backpacker. I love to read. I actually like yard work. I'm kind of one of those weirdos that just finds some cathartic nature about being out and riding the lawnmower and pulling weeds and stuff like that. And I'm a suburban farmer, meaning I've got backyard chickens. So that's a little bit about me. Charlotte, I'll turn it over to you for introductions.
I did not know you had chickens. That's awesome. I'm a little jealous. I want chickens so bad.
Yes, you can always come over if you want to and see the chickens.
Okay. So I'm Charlotte. I'm with Birch & Cedar Realty Group, brokered by eXp Realty. I've been a real estate agent for 3 years. I've been there for about 2 years. Actually, I think July is my 2nd year with them. I really love the brokerage. It's very in tune with technology. In fact, when we were at stay-at-home orders, like everything that we had with our brokerage was already set up to help work through that remotely and help our clients. So that was really good. Like I said, I'm full-time. I've been doing it for about 3 years. I utilize technology to give my clients a competitive advantage, and I have a strong focus on education. I want to make sure that my clients have all the information they possibly can to make the best decision for them and their family. So I have a YouTube channel where I post a lot of videos, educational videos to help educate everybody on the Treasure Valley and all things real estate here. So, be sure to check that out. And then I just really want, like I said, I focus on education and making sure that everybody has true information and not some of the fear mongering that's kind of out there right now. So a little bit more about me. I have 2 large dogs, a Great Dane and a St. Bernard. And I am not a fan of yard work. But other than that, I like to read. We like to go to wineries and such like that. So that's a little bit of background about me.
Awesome. Well, like I was telling you all before we got started here, one of the things that Charlotte and I have thought about in doing this is we really want to try to bring some of the more realistic information to you, because I think that there's a lot of misinformation inside the media. You can hear things, you can see things reported, and you have to just keep in mind that there's always an agenda behind stories and things that are published in the media. So we wanted to spend some time and share with you here a little bit today. And as we go forward, we're going to do these a couple of times a month on different topics. But what we're going to start talking about here today again is what we're going to call the incredible disconnect between the economy and housing. And Charlotte, I think I'll start off with that, because what we were talking about, one of the things that people need to realize is that the economy and the housing market do not track the same way. If you want to go back to the last economic recession, and so you have to go back to 2009, there was a very well-defined housing crash that precipitated that recession. And it was truly housing that caused that recession. If you look at what's happening now with this recession we're in, and let's make no mistake, everybody, we are in an economic recession right now. The reason that we're in the recession right now, literally it's a bug, it's a virus. And I don't want to say it that way to make light of the severity of COVID-19 and those things that we're all dealing with as a country right now, but it's not anywhere close to the same as what happened when we went into an economic recession in 2008 and 9 because of the housing crash. And I wanted to start off by sharing something with you because one of the biggest disconnects that I'm hearing, and Charlotte, I'd like you to chime in on this too, but one of the biggest things that I'm hearing from people say is, you know, I don't want to buy a house right now. I'm going to wait until the market crashes. You know, I want to wait until I see this run on foreclosures coming, and then I'm going to take advantage of it. Because in most of the areas, and depending on where you're watching this in the country, you're going to see a different real estate market potentially than Charlotte I do in the Boise, Idaho area. But we have a dramatically low amount of inventory here in this area. And Charlotte, I know that's your area more. Why don't we turn over to you a little bit just to talk about what you're seeing with regard to inventory numbers, and we'll take it and go on from there because you can see where we're going with this.
Yeah, so right now, the Boise Regional Realtors just actually put out their June statistics, and they're actually showing that our inventory levels for this year are 44% less than this time last year. So we are seeing a dramatic decrease in inventory levels. We actually only have 1 month of inventory in Ada County, and Canyon County is very close to that. So we are in a seller's market. The prices are appreciating because of a law of supply and demand. There's just kind of no way around that. We have a really high demand for homes. In fact, I was reading, and you can kind of talk to this, Eric, that nationally we're having mortgage home loans applications are like 30% higher than this time last year. So we're seeing that the demand is still there, but the inventory is not. So we are absolutely seeing appreciation at, you know, insane levels. The median home sales price for June was actually a record high for Ada County at $375,000. That's the median home sales price. So I actually did want to go into some of the predictions for the appreciation for levels for the next year. Is that okay to go ahead and go into that?
You bet. Yeah, take it.
Okay, so there is a very well-respected real estate analytics firm called CoreLogic, and you know, there's a couple of different experts that organizations that come out and they do these predictions, and that is one of them. There's 8 that I'm watching, and they are the only one of, well, I'll put it this way. I'm going to read their quote. They predict that the economic downturn that started in March of 2020 is predicted to cause a 6.6 drop in the home price index by May of 2021, which would be the first decrease in annual home prices in over 9 years. Now, that is such a striking prediction because it's number one in drastic contrast to some of the others that have made predictions. In fact, I will go ahead and share my screen so I can show you what the chart looks like.
Okay.
So are you able to see it? How about now?
Yep, I can see that.
Okay, so we have this, this is CoreLogic at 6.6%, like a depreciation, whereas all of these other sources are showing increases in appreciation. And then there's a couple that are 1% or less. So, you know, it's a drastic difference in what the other predictions are, but it's also a drastic difference in what we see locally. You know, the prices are set by the supply of, you know, the law of supply and demand. And what we're seeing is that there is a drastic decrease in home availability inventory and still an increase in demand. So I have a really hard time seeing that in our area, even nationally. You know, I talked to hundreds of agents across the country, and actually our brokerage is international. So what we're seeing kind of across everywhere doesn't really fall in line with that. True, there are some areas that have a buyer's inventory and are not in a seller's market, but overall, what we're seeing is consistent with this low inventory and high demand.
Yeah, and I mean, I echo all of those thoughts because it just strikes me as curious that you're going to see in an otherwise very, very low inventory market an expectation that there is going to be a 6.6% drop in prices. And I'll take it and go from there, Charlotte, because as I look back on the last recession, so we talked about this a little bit earlier in the video, the housing crash 2008, 9, 10. Housing median prices bottomed sometime in 2011. I'm not looking at the chart right now, so I can't say exactly when that median price point bottomed, but it was sometime around that point. And the thing that's happened since then is people have they've grown to think that every recession will create a housing crash. Because that's what happens on all recessions. That's what people tell me. And I just have to remind them and even show them the statistics from the Case-Shiller Index. The Case-Shiller Index, if you don't know what that is, that's a great Google for you. You can go and find what the median home price is across the 20 major metros in the country, and it takes that price and it shows it to you every month, going back since 1970 something. There has never been a recession where housing prices had dropped off dramatically except for bing, 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 right? The Great Recession in 2008 and 9. So somehow people have now created this mindset or this false reality that, oh, there's a recession, housing market is going to crash, prices are going to drop, and boom, that's when I'm going to jump in and take advantage of that. Yeah. So I want to share a screen as well, Charlotte, with our viewers, because this is the thing that I want people to really see and understand. Can you see that okay?
Yes.
So the reason that housing prices drop is you have to have a lot more supply, right? And Charlotte just did a good job of laying that out for all of us. There is not even close to enough supply right now. So that's not going to cause prices to drop. Simple supply demand is not going to shift right now. If you want to have distressed sales be a big portion, so again, I'm going to take you back to 2008-9, circa 11 years ago. The vast majority of homes that were being sold were what we call distressed sales. So foreclosures by banks, short sales, which if you don't know what that means, there is a seller who owes more on their mortgage loan than what the house is actually worth because values have plummeted. So in situations like that, those are going to cause house prices to drop because when you have the majority of the home sales being distressed, that's what's going to happen. So the chart I've got up on the screen right here, and this is from Statistica. I'll put the link to it in the Facebook post after we're done with this so you can look at this if you want to. Statista says, look at the value look at the dollar amount of home equity in this country. And I want to take you back to 2009. There was $6.24 trillion in home equity in the country. As to now, 10 years later, because this is as of 2019, there was $18.72 trillion of home equity. I will submit to you that if there's this much equity, available untapped equity, because this is a measure of the amount of the mortgages in aggregate as compared to the value of the homes in aggregate, and the difference is home equity. If there's that much home equity sitting out there right now, untapped, I challenge you, tell me where the home foreclosures and the short sales and all of the distressed sales that we need to have are going to come from that would otherwise cause a measurable drop in prices. And I just can't see it anywhere, Charlotte. And so when I show that and talk about that, I'd like to know what your thoughts are on that too.
So what I wanted to show this, I'm going to try to make it a little bit bigger because it's not quite big enough, but what I actually am seeing is that just specifically, even in Idaho, they're saying that it's $24,000 in equity, kind of not on average, but that's the amount of home equity on average people have in their home. So again, I don't see how we're not seeing the short sales. Like you said before, foreclosures, there probably will be a few, but because there's so much untapped equity, I can't imagine somebody would just throw that away and go foreclosure, and banks as well. We will see some foreclosures come on, like you said, but the banks are not going to drop the prices by 50% to sell it because they don't need to. The inventory is so low, they can get market value for it. So to sit there and say that I'm going to wait for the prices to drop and the foreclosures to come out, even if there are foreclosures, there's still going to be market value because they do not need to drop those prices because inventory is so low. It'll sell.
Right. No, I think we've made the point here because, again, the thing that Charlotte and I also want to make sure that you all see and understand, we are not forecasting something that nobody knows, right? Nobody should really get in the business of forecasting anything. We don't have crystal balls. We don't have little magic websites that we can go to that tells us, hey, this is what's going to happen in 1 year from now. But the data is just compelling. So we want to make sure that you see that we're not saying there can't be a drop in prices. We're not saying there can't be foreclosures, because there certainly can. And with the advent of COVID and how this is impacting our economy, I mean, this could change. This thing could stop on a dime and switch around the other way. We just aren't seeing it right now. We're not seeing any data, any run up in buyers to offset the supply demand dynamic Charlotte mentioned. We're just not seeing anything that would lead either her and I to believe that that's on the horizon. So for what that's worth, we want to make sure that you understand that we don't see a big drop in housing prices coming. We think that if you are sitting on the fence, so to speak, waiting for that foreclosure rush to come, waiting for prices to drop, we don't know, right? We don't have the crystal ball, but you might be waiting for quite a while unless something were to change along those lines that we've just discussed. You think that's right too, Charlotte?
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. And I wanted to just add one more thing to your point about recessions. You know, the last 5 recessions, only one had a drastic drop in what you talked about, which was, it was 19.7% depreciation. But in the others, there's only one other that was a depreciation, and it was less than 2%, and all of the others were 3.5 or above. So to your point, you know, just because we're in a recession does not mean that we're in a housing recession. And so trying to wait for those foreclosures to come or the prices to drop, like you said, we're not seeing that now. So I would absolutely agree with you.
Agreed. Okay, well, I think that's the biggest points that we wanted to wrap up today. I'm taking a look on Facebook, so I appreciate all of you that are watching our live stream. Thanks for tuning in. Charlotte and I just have a favor to ask of you. If any of you watching this on the live stream think that this is good information, you think that you know somebody else who could benefit from that, do us a favor and click the like button, click the love button. There's that little care button that came out now during COVID. Click one of those just to let us know that you watched it, but absolutely feel free to tag somebody or share it to your own page or start a watch party in a group that you manage. Just feel free to put that out there, because again, we're really trying to give this information to as many people as we can find that could benefit from that. And again, lots of misinformation out there that we want to start dispelling. I like to call those myth conceptions, right? Housing recessions and economic recessions, not the same, definitely not created equally. So. All right. Well, I think we'll go ahead and wrap up on that, Charlotte, unless there's any other thoughts you want to add to this before we close.
No, I think I'm really excited that we were able to get this going, and I hope that people really find value in the information that we're sharing, the truth behind what's going on right now. So. Yes,
for sure. Okay, everybody. Well, again, thanks for taking time out of your day to watch this, whether you're watching it on the live stream now or you're watching it recorded later on Facebook. We just appreciate your time and watching it. Feel free, again, just to share, tag somebody you think could benefit from this. And we'll look forward to talking to you the next time we do this. We're looking at doing 2 of these every month. So watch for us to go live. And again, just bringing you more good information that's going to help you or people that you know with those home buying decisions. So thanks for tuning in, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
I hope this was helpful. As always, like, subscribe, and click that little bell. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time.